ask you, what is one marketing secret, and you being a former HR executive and one that has expert in marketing, an expert in LinkedIn, what is one marketing secret that can help the Ms. Bankable Show listeners to double their revenue in 24 months?
Discover the hidden mysteries of wealth and entrepreneurial success placed in scripture to advance God's kingdom. This is the Ms. Bankable Show, where you'll learn biblical and practical keys needed to unlock your business's six-figure potential. Kingdompreneurs, it's time for Marketplace Dominion. And now, here's your host, the business building expert herself, Ms. Sadé Banks.
Hello, and welcome to the Ms. Bankable Show, where we show you how to unlock your business's 6- and 7-figure potential. I am your host, Sadé Banks, also known as Ms. Bankable, who during the pandemic have helped my clients to go from 3 to 800 in their downline, secure lucrative government contracts, as well as secure properties and cross over into the 6- and 7-figure revenue generational stream. Hallelujah. And I am so honored today to be bringing you a LinkedIn expert, Iris Culp, who is going to walk us through how you can grow your businesses on the platinum platform called LinkedIn. But before we begin and start with Iris, I want to tell you, if you are listening in, please go ahead, share today's broadcast, like, comment, subscribe, download, all of those fabulous things. We broadcast on YouTube, Facebook, as well as the podcast on Stitcher, on Apple, as well as Spotify. So your participation is very much treasured. So thank you so much. And also, if at all during this time you realize that you need some assistance in growing your business, if you're an emerging business leader or you're just starting out in business, then go ahead, check out my website, www.msbankable.com, where I have a blog, I have other resources. You can also schedule an appointment to talk to me, where we can go over your business and develop a strategy to get you into your 6- and 7-figure revenue stream. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in Iris Culp, our LinkedIn expert. Iris Culp is the principal at 𝗕𝐶 Growth, a marketing consulting and business growth firm. She has a decade of marketing experience and has helped clients double their top line revenue in less than 24 months. Prior to the current focus of marketing strategies for solopreneurs and micro business owners, she worked professionally as a writer as well as an HR and organizational development in that department. She describes herself as a creative analytic who loves research and data, who also blends that with a creative twist. Her recent focus is helping small business owners leverage the free versions of LinkedIn to draw their ideal audience to the know, like, and trust journey. Okay. In her spare time, she loves to dig in her flower garden and recycle. So without further ado, let's bring in our LinkedIn and marketing expert, Miss Iris Culp. Hello, Miss Iris. How are you today?
Hey, I'm great. How are you today, lovely lady?
I'm doing fabulous, and I'm so honored that you're here with us, that you're with the Ms. Bankable Show today to give us some really powerful, potent tools and strategies that we can use to leverage and grow our businesses on LinkedIn. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Awesome. It's a privilege.
Awesome. So before we get started, tell us a little bit, and I read your bio, but tell us a little bit more about yourself. How can our listeners benefit by linking up with you?
You know, great question. And it was about 6 or 7 months ago. I've been doing business for 35 plus years. I'm not sure when I exactly count them all, but it occurred to me like 7 months ago. I thought, I've done 20 years of HR. I worked as a writer. I worked as a photographer, a certified career coach, now business consultant and business growth and marketing consultant. And it comes down to this core piece of, I love to help people untangle what seems like impossible sometimes, and that's communicating in such a way that helps the other side, so to speak, get and connect with their message. So I think it goes back to me as a child. I was always afraid to communicate. So I think I approached it, I'll say professionally, intellectually, like, let me untangle this. I was incredibly shy. Still am an introvert, but I can move through other places when I am, I'll say, move into my appearing extrovert. It just takes a little more rest for me. So I think that we're wired for connection. We're wired for meaningful relationships and interdependency. And I've always been drawn to things that are really vague and complex and found them fascinating. So I know that's kind of a long story and kind of this journey, but I'm at that stage of my life where that's the theme that I think I've been drawn to work that always helped people unravel connecting with other people. So most recently that shows up as something in my business where I help people get their messages across to their ideal audience, and typically try to do it in such a way that isn't ad spend, but is more authentic. And when I need someone who has expertise in ad spend, I bring in a partner and a collaborator. So yeah, I would say I really have a passion to help people connect and get understood. And it kind of goes back to my mom. I helped her write her memoir, I want to say about 18 months before she passed. And we started that project before she had her diagnosis. And I'll never forget a couple, not Friday night, sitting at my dining room table. And she said, you know, the people at my senior center just don't think their story is valuable. And I'll never forget. She said, Iris, everyone has an important story to share. And it was about 7 months ago, it just kind of hit me like, you know, I'm kind of maybe continuing on in that. So anyway, I love to help people tell their story.
I love that. That's so powerful that, hey, there is hope out there for you introverts.
There is, and you don't need to be unintroverted or be ashamed. I am one, and I'm proud of it. And that's who I tend to help the most, because I like to help them, I'll say, find a brand that fits them, that they can own and carry, and they don't have to put on kind of this uniform of anything else. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Yes, I love that. So let me ask you, why do business owners need a LinkedIn profile? What's the benefits to LinkedIn?
Yeah, well, interesting question. And of course, it's a really top of mind question, partially because LinkedIn has, I'll say, morphed so greatly. It has morphed from what the original founder, Reid Hoffman, envisioned, which is, it started out as a career networking platform. Absolutely, you know, bar none, it is the beast, is the King Kong in that space. But what's interesting, and what he, according to him, did not anticipate, it being such a powerhouse for business networking and for business deals to get done, collaborations, and certainly now in the, I'll say, I'm not going to say post-pandemic, whatever version of the pandemic we're in, it has been, I'll say, a potential game changer if it's leveraged properly. So why businesses need it? It's a little bit like, if you're in business today, you have to have a website. You might not have to have a storefront, but you need a website. And unless you're a super localized, what I would call a hyper local business with a product that's B2C only, business to consumer only, a LinkedIn presence is a must have. So there are certain segments you might say in business that might not need it, or they might need it only for business referral partnerships. So there's a slice of the world that businesses probably don't need, but it's a small slice.
Okay. And so I actually did just a little bit of research on LinkedIn myself, you guys. Miss Iris helped me with my LinkedIn page. So she gave me some pointers. And let me tell you how I actually ran into Miss Iris. I went to a networking event here in our hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I met a lovely lady that said, hey, I know a marketing expert. Her name is Iris Culp. join her on LinkedIn. So I went on LinkedIn, I found Miss Iris, I added her, and we have been connected ever since. And it's truly been very informative for myself. Okay. And so when I looked up on LinkedIn, I seen that 80% of business to business leads come from LinkedIn. And I also showed that 80% of LinkedIn members want to have a mentor or want to mentor others. So that really speaks to the connection and the collaboration that you just addressed in what you just previously told us. So the facts back up what Miss Iris is saying. Okay, you guys, she is the expert. So let me ask you, what are the top errors that you see that newbies make on LinkedIn that is blocking them from making profitable relationships?
Okay. Yeah, interesting question. So let me take a stab at that, and I'm going to address it from a business standpoint, because there's kind of a little bit different vein from a career standpoint, and that stands on its own as very critical, but there's probably a little bit more information out about that. And my subspecialty that I'm focused on the last couple of years is really LinkedIn for business. So I think probably the top one or two errors would be not necessarily having a client-facing profile and leaning back into kind of how LinkedIn began, kind of, this is my career, this is what I've done. If you're in business and part of your presence on LinkedIn, or I'll say the strategy for having a presence on LinkedIn is to support your business, then make sure your profile is client-facing. And what I mean by that, it's the whole thing. Specifically though, think about what your clients need and want, that ideal client. Think about the keywords they would be searching for if they're looking for exactly what you do. Do you have enough keywords in there they can find you? So that at a high level, speak to the problems you solve for your ideal client, and then make sure it reads in some ways like a mini website one-pager that helps them see how you can make a difference for your client.
Okay, I love that. Thank you so much, because we can get a little narcissistic where we want to talk about just ourselves and all of how great we are and all of the great experiences that we have, the great companies we work for, but we forget as business to business owners who do business with other businesses that we have to tell our potential clients how we can benefit and best serve them and help their businesses to grow. So it's not just all about us, it's about the clientele that we're seeking to bring in and to serve as business owners.
Hey, entrepreneur, can I tell you what I know about you? You see, I know that you are called by the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to be an entrepreneur, but you are struggling with some resistances. You are thinking you're doing a whole lot of thinking, but taking very little to no steps towards building your business. And you do not feel comfortable, you do not feel confident enough to really launch your business. So let me ask you, would you feel more secure, more confident, more ready if you had the proven strategies to lead and guide you to starting, running, and building a profitable business? I have the perfect solution for you, my friend. Register for my free webinar, From Broke to Bankable, and learn the 7 best ways to structure and systematize your business. I, along with global entrepreneur and influencer, Apostle Dewan Holmes, are going to show you how you can pay yourself, increase your revenue, and reset for 6 figures and more in 1 year's time. Yes, I said it. 1 year's time, 6 figures. Come on here. Do I have your attention? I know I do. It's time to step out of fear. Let's get you on the road to success that God has envisioned just for you through the vessel of your business. Come on. Don't delay. Register now, and I'll see you on the webinar.
If you think about the classic And this is where you can kind of cut it and help, like, okay, is this going to help my potential client? Think about, many people have heard the phrase WIFM, what's in it for me? And when you go through your profile and you go through, experience, and particularly the about section, because that probably is the most critical in terms of speaking to the client and your headline. Also the most SEO sensitive, by the way, but think about what are the results that you have delivered, and then mention that. So that's a little specific about what client facing can mean in your about section.
So when you're saying in your about me section, put in there specific ways that you can help them, and perhaps maybe a mini case study,
right?
Or some type of proof of what you've been able to do for other clients.
Exactly. Think what's in it for them and include something about that. Absolutely.
Okay, so you guys hear the expert Iris go. If you don't have a LinkedIn, or your LinkedIn is all about me, and I, you have some updates that you need to do.
I love it.
You want to get some business on LinkedIn. And so let me ask you this. What are a few tips to grow a responsive LinkedIn network or connections?
Well, huge question. Let me give, I'll say a couple of snippets into that insight. One of them is connect and network strategically. There is, I'll say, a bar of reaching 500 connections for LinkedIn to, I'll just say it this way, to assume that you're active and professionally engaged. So having 500 connections, and then you can do search for, say, your ideal client is a bank, for example. You can do, depending on the version you're in, you can do limited or unlimited searches for people who work at banks. So one of the most powerful, I'll say, contexts about LinkedIn to keep in mind, it's a worldwide data bank of people's professional expertise and history. Okay. When I was recruiting for a Fortune 500 company in charge of 3 national recruiting programs, this was back in the 90s, I would have kind of given my left arm, so to speak, to have that. So when you think about what LinkedIn houses, and you think about who should I connect with from a business standpoint,
yes, tap
into their search filters. And it doesn't mean you have to know everybody, on a one-to-one or best friend basis. And that's also been a change in the last decade or so. It's really become, let me explore potential collaborations and partnerships. So hopefully that addresses it. Approach it with who would be an ideal client or who you could provide benefit to. I usually say, when you connect with someone, lead with value. What can you do for them? And then once you've established that trust factor, continue and nurture that. So commenting on other people's posts, less than 1% of people post once a week. So it's 99% lurkers, okay? So there's a huge opportunity there. Yeah, it's less than 0.5%. So there's a huge opportunity there just to show up and provide value by posting something that would be a tip or something useful to your ideal client, and then commenting on what other people post. And it is a little bit like water in the desert when you comment on someone else's post, because I can't tell you how many people I speak to, and I'm like, okay, I'm posting consistently, but I get no likes or comments. And but then the feedback is, in fact, I was speaking to a client yesterday, and she said, yeah, I'm posting consistently, but not very many people engage. And she says, but I talked to someone and they're like, wow, you were really killing it on LinkedIn. So they're watching. So it's a great platform. It's still underutilized.
Okay, so you heard her. If you are less than 1% of people actually post on LinkedIn, and do not get discouraged if you're posting on a consistent basis, but you don't get many comments or likes. As she said, LinkedIn is filled with watchers. So keep on posting. You never know who's going to drop in your inbox with an opportunity for you for your business. That is great information. Thank you so much, Ms. Iris.
You bet.
Yes. And so let me ask you, what is one marketing secret, and you being a former HR executive and one that has expert in marketing, an expert in LinkedIn, what is one marketing secret that can help the Ms. Bankable Show listeners to double their revenue in 24 months?
Okay, so you're referring to something I have done in the past. It is, I'll say, a secret, but it's hard to narrow it down to one. But
Okay.
I'm going to say, and it's the strategy. Okay, it's kind of like, what's your cookie recipe? Yes, it's one thing, but you want to begin with the end in mind. So if you're looking to do an explosive growth, you don't necessarily need to double your ad spend. Look for getting really close to your customer. What is going to provide them value today? And then drip that out, be very consistent, and get really close to your ideal client. Learn from them, get feedback, listen, what's next? What's the other thing that's going to provide value? And that's something that has to be crafted individually for every business owner, solopreneur, entrepreneur. So it is the most underutilized, I'll say, secret is to have a strategy. And you might say, wow, that sounds really fancy and vague. It's also probably the number one thing I see people leave out. They've heard, I need to post on social. So they start posting on social, LinkedIn included, right? And then they're like, okay, I don't know what to post. Well, it's because you don't have a plan. So the strategy matters. Understanding your client, developing a strategy that will speak to them, and then having what I would call a breadcrumb journey to draw them close to you. Part of that's content, part of that's experience, and then it has to be customized to your business. So begin with the end in mind. Get someone, if that's all you hire them for, hire someone who can develop a strategy. You can go execute it. You know, LinkedIn, different pieces, those are the tactics, but the strategy is the secret sauce.
Okay, so you heard her. You have to develop a strategy. Don't just go on social media, just aimlessly posting without a goal in mind. And it's going to also help you to continue to develop the content that it will best serve your potential client. So let me ask you, this is a bonus question.
Okay.
So how can a business owner find their ideal client on LinkedIn?
Well, first of all, I would say you need to query some of your current ideal clients, see what they have in common, see where they like to hang out. Is it LinkedIn? What are their hobbies? What do they do in free time? What are their pain points? So it's like a lot of things in life. You want to first listen to understand, if you want to use that classic phrase. You listen to understand. And then once you understand really specifically the customer journey and the customer pain points, the strategy kind of evolves out of that. It's a little bit like being a parent. I've thought of this recently and saying, and your kid's 8, and then you're like, okay, I know my kid so well. I know, like, right, you know, and then they hit 10, and then they hit 11, and Katie barred the door, they hit 12 or whatever. And you are still seeing him through the eyes or the lens of an 8 or 10-year-old. So keep in touch, get feedback from your customer journey, get feedback from your current customers, explore what future needs they're struggling with. And really that's gonna, I'll say, it kind of creates the roadmap. And it's really listening to understand, rather than this is what we've done with our customers in the past. We know this works and we're going to just continue down the path. Especially in today's environment, customers evolve, things morph in their lives, in their needs. So there's a book by 𝗕𝘂𝗀 and it's all around minimal viable product. And I'll say the premise there is get feedback, don't produce a big thing. It's kind of similar to the Agile framework, meaning keep your business flexible.
Yes.
Stay close to your customer, they will guide you. So I hope that answers it, but I think that's a temptation established business owners can fall into, like, we know it, we've got our customers and we're going to coast. No, your customers are probably evolving, just like your 8 12-year-old that eventually gets into, other things. And then there's the teenage years, and, just stay close.
Such is life. I love that, because technology is currently changing. The demands are currently changing. Our planet is currently changing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so you have to be able to keep up with the trends and keep up with the ever evolving needs of your client base if you want to be successful in business. So let me ask you, Ms. Iris, now I know before we actually went live, you saying that there was a few things that you wanted to show us on LinkedIn. Are you able to do that?
I can. So let me just share a screen. And LinkedIn is such a visual platform that, of course, it's like other things. It's like we can talk about client facing, and then we can show it, and it kind of instantly brings a new level of clarity. So I'll show you someone that I think does a good job in, I'll say, branding and client facing. And we really even haven't touched on the whole branding piece yet. But here's an example. So she, like a lot of other, I'll say, people in business for themselves, has more than 1 gig going. So we work together a little bit on some elements of her branding, and she has a book coming out. So her title, again, here from a tactical standpoint, it is the most SEO, search engine optimization, sensitive section of your profile.
Okay.
So she immediately comes out with how she makes a difference. And this is coming back into kind of, I'll say, supporting the brand that her book, which is about to come out, is going to focus on. She's also a business consultant and a financial educator, author, etc. Okay, so that's a little bit of an element, something that LinkedIn has done recently. If you turn on creator mode, it does some extra things, such as people can immediately see what hashtags and what topics are kind of your thing. So it can also help people find you that way. And then your headline helps people find you as well. So that's one. And then I'll show you mine.
Okay.
And mine tends to, I don't like to show mine only, because, everybody needs their own. Really, the personal branding space here is critical, and no one else can exactly figure it out. Yes, you need someone to kind of help you look outside of yourself. But what fits for someone else isn't going to fit for you. So you can do things like make use of icons to kind of help your headline be readable and that kind of thing. So then here, those hashtags. So there's a branded piece, and something that is growing more. This just got turned on last year, but you can now put featured videos, featured articles, featured PDFs right here in this section. And that is something that people almost have been complaining at LinkedIn for quite some time, that there really wasn't a good space to kind of house deeper materials or anything with an external link. Well, you can right here in the featured section. So they're really, I'll say, upgrading their responsiveness regarding, I'll say, making the platform practical for business. It has 15 times more content, business content impressions than job postings. And I believe, if I'm remembering the stat off my head correctly, someone gets hired, I'll say, as a result, partially as a result of LinkedIn, every 3 seconds. So the amount of business content is kind of staggering. And people look to LinkedIn first as their source when making a business purchase decision. So it really is the big dog, so to speak, in the business space. So in your about section, and this is kind of that client facing piece I was referencing, using a little bit of the icons to make things readable, not so gray. You can have a PDF or a lead magnet right there, talking about the problems you solved, some keywords. So those are just, I'll say, a little bit of a snippet. The banner, absolutely make full use of the banner. And now if you see the orange circle, there's a 30-second video that so you can literally speak right to your ideal client with that video, 30 seconds. So that's scratching the surface.
Very valuable content, you guys. Just don't be listeners of what you are hearing, but be doers of what you are hearing. Go and take action. Update your LinkedIn profiles. Yeah, you were going to say something, Ms. Iris?
Yeah, if I can add, I started something in January this year, which is a 4-minute, what I call Tuesday pro tip. It's a video, and probably the biggest hurdle is I don't know what to do, so I'm not going to do anything. And that's borne out by what then became my masterclass offering called 6 Weeks from Questions to Confidence. And I have other services that I provide, but that is kind of, I'll say, the crux of what I saw the need for, and I beta tested it, and some other things. But I do offer this free Tuesday pro tips. If someone wants to sign up, I'll give you that information.
Please.
Once a week, 4-minute video or less. Here's a snippet, and that way you don't have to feel like it's too much. You take one little snippet, you may have known it, you might not have, but it can kind of start unraveling the mystery.
Okay, and how can they sign up for your programs, your community? How can they?
Probably the easiest way is to find me on LinkedIn. But I will certainly send you the links if anyone wants to get the pro tips or get information about the masterclass program. People have been having really great results from it.
Yes, so in order to access any of Ms. Iris's links, be sure to read in the description box. I'll have all of her links to her programs and offerings in the description box. This is a woman you definitely want to connect with to help.
Oh, you're so kind. You're so kind.
Yes, you have the proven record. Double income in 24 months, you guys. You don't want to delay. Sign up with Ms. Iris in her programs today.
Thank you.
Yes. So do you have any closing remarks for our people before we close out?
Yeah, I would say don't be the 99%, be the 1%. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't live forever. And if you want a free kind of mini profile review, I do offer that as well. So find me on LinkedIn and see if I can lead with any value to what you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for your time, all of your expertise. This has been truly an amazing episode here, how to master your LinkedIn for greater and future business. So we're going to say goodbye to Ms. Iris. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It was a delight. I love your energy.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.